Have you ever wondered how pro welders get those perfect finish grinds on their weldments? Well, today I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm currently working on our Star Wars sci-fi office space and need top-notch finish work. So let's talk about the 3 stages of grinds in order to get there. 1, 2, and 3. First stage is something like this. You have a weld and you're just gonna run the grinder over it, kind of knocking off any high spots, but most of the weld is there. A stage 2 grind looks something like this. Completely ground off the entire weld because your welds are ugly and you don't want anybody to see them. Or you're trying to have somewhat of a flat surface, kind of designed for production work, something where you don't really want the weld there, but you're not gonna take a lot of time. You can tell whoever ground this, they actually ground too far and you can see low spots. You can see some light shine through there, and you can tell it's sloppy. None of the corners line up. This isn't very precise grinding. That's a stage 2, and for most applications this is completely acceptable. For my application or architectural or precision grinding, I want a stage 3 grind. Here is an example of a stage 3 grind, something like this. It's nice and precise. The corners, all the lines line up to where it looks like this was one piece and it just folded around. All the fillets around the metal all line up. It's nice and shiny. It looks good. It's all tight and square. This is a stage 3 grind. Now the first thing you want to do when you prep it is you're going to have nice big chamfers on all the sides, the outside corners and the inside corner. You have to have a chamfer on here. And we're going to do a stage 3 grind on this inside too. And I'll show you what it looks like. We'll get set up and we'll walk you through the process. Okay, so what I'm after here is when I fill this gap up, I want close to 100% penetration, but we're gonna have to come back and grind most of this off, so we wanna make sure we got enough weld in there to keep this joint strong. The first weld we're gonna do is outside corner, from top to bottom. Now it's really important at this point in time that you have enough material here. If it's underfilled, we're gonna have to have a really large radius. So you might have to go over it one more time to build that corner out. Second weld is inside corner on the top to the outside corner. So I have the top built up quite a ways because I want to have enough material to grind. I don't want to get into the base material, and I also don't have any undercut there. Next weld is vertical down on the inside fillet. I want to grind that inside corner to a perfect 90. So let's flip it over and we'll do the other side. We're all welded up. We've built ourselves up quite a bit of weld bead around this joint, and now we need to grind it back. Here's the magic. A lot of you guys would probably take a flap disc like this, slap it on your grinder, and start grinding away. But this is where you're gonna get yourself into trouble because this is a fluffy pillow. There's something better than a flap disc for this job, and that is this disc right here. This is called a combi click, and it's basically a piece of sandpaper on a rigid piece of cardboard that's gonna attach to the grinder. But as you can see, there's nothing to attach this disc to. This is the magic right here. This pad, the combi click system, it's got a funky cam in here to where this just goes right in, and then with a quarter turn, it locks to each other. Now, what you're gonna say, Jason, well, what's so special about this pad? Well, as you can see, it's really rigid. It's like hard rubber, and it's completely flat. And if you notice the difference between this disc and this is how much more surface area we have. This pad is only 1 inch wide. This is double that. It's 2 inches of flat surface. Now, this is gonna be really important to get these really nice, crisp, tight lines like a flat top. You just got your hair cut. And we want to keep everything nice and high, nice and tight. This is the pad we need. But you have some choices. This whole system comes with just about any grit you want to grind in, and you can take the stages all the way up. When you buy this system, you get a couple different pad choices. So you see how this is flexy on the corners? So if you need to have some contouring, you're going to use a softer backing pad. And it comes in a set like this, or you can buy individual pads. So I'm going to be using the hard pad because I want everything to be flat. Flat, 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 and I don't want to gouge into my base material. I'm not going to run a guard because the guard gets in the way of what I'm trying to do. Pad goes on. This is a 36 grit, and I'm going to knock the welds flat with this first. And that's the beauty of this system, is I just put it on here and a quarter turn goes on, locks, and we're done. So I can change pads out really fast. Okay, so I knocked the big chunks off with the 36, and I'm just going to keep going around with it. What I'm trying to do is not touch the base material. I might kiss it, but I just want this to be a nice sharp corner for right now. Got some coarse scratches, that's okay. We'll come back and I'll show you what we do with that. Now this inside fillet. Most people would just leave it, and you can. It depends on the application. Maybe this is getting hidden and you're not gonna see it. With this disc, this allows me to get right to the weld, and I'm gonna cut it all the way out, right where these two tubes intersect, and try to get a nice crisp corner in there. I'm gonna flip it over and go the other direction and make these two grinds intersect. Now that I got most of the meat out of there, I'm gonna switch pads. Let's switch to a 220. But switching pads is as easy as just quarter turn, and we're ready to rock and roll. I'm just gonna take this with a 220 and blend it back. And these corners right here, I'm gonna shape that fillet right into each other with this disc. I'll do the other back side. You see how that disc gets right up into there? I'm gonna take care of this little intersection right here on each side. Okay, I've shaped a lot of that with that tip. There's no way in heck this is gonna do as good a job as this. It's just not gonna happen. It's like a sharp knife. Now we do one more magic step. That's what's gonna turn this thing into a stage 3. The next thing we're gonna wanna use is just a standard orbital sander, something you use for woodworking, but believe it or not, you can use them for metal also. And this is a 100 grit sandpaper, but you can use any grit you want. And what we're just gonna do is we're gonna just blend with it. Okay, so that's with 100. Look how nice crisp that inside is. The next stage is you can take some 220. It's just one more extra level, depending on what you're working on. That's a stage 3 grind. That's the corner that I want on all my stairs. You're probably saying, Jason, that's not necessary. Well, I would argue with you on fabrication of this caliber, like building the Star Wars staircase that I'm building. Why wouldn't I want to take that extra step? But the trick to this is getting yourself the right tools to make it easy. I like the 36 grit, some 60, and of course the 220 to get you that fine surface finish. I sell them at the Fireball Tool website. We got all the different grits, or you can buy an entire pack and give it a shot.